Good afternoon, folks. This is David Wornham. I am on location in Gloucester, Massachusetts at Eastern Point Lighthouse, which is right behind me. And we are going to be doing some long exposures of the lighthouse as the sun sets in my face at the moment. And I will be showing you the equipment that I use for landscape and long exposure photography, along with the Lee filters system and the variety of filters that I use for long exposures. Okay, so this is Eastern Point Lighthouse in Gloucester, and we'll be photographing this using some long exposure techniques. You'll notice we have a nice reflection in the water right to the left of the causeway. We're using a Nikon D700 with an 18 to 35 millimeter zoom, and of course right in front here the Lee filters system, which consists of the circular polarizer in the front, bring out the color of the sky, as well as a 0.6 or a 2-stop neutral density graduated filter to balance the sky with the foreground. Also using for these long exposures Velo Shutter Boss 2, which I have currently programmed for 30 seconds. That'll be my first exposure, coupled with the 10-stop neutral density big stopper, which will give me a 30-second exposure. So in just a few moments we'll take a photo and show you what we got. Okay, while we're taking the exposure, I actually just looked at the image and it was a little dark. The histogram was a little bit too far to the left of my liking, so I've adjusted the exposure to 1 minute. The sun is setting lower, and so we're getting a little bit warmer light on the lighthouse. And again, I just want to be absolutely sure we're getting the best possible exposure. Using the Lee filter system allows me to adapt to different conditions, whether it be different lighting, bright sky versus a darker foreground, and that lets me use a variety of neutral density grads depending on the situation and the scene that I'm looking at. Again, today using a 2-stop neutral density graduated soft, just pulled down right to the lighthouse to kind of cut that balance with the rocks in the foreground, and I'm using the 10-stop big stopper to pull a 1 minute exposure at this point. Okay, our 1 minute exposure has finished up, and already I'm noticing that the lighthouse here looks a little bit blown out. It's just a little too hot for my liking. The foreground looks great. The sky's a good color. I see just a little bit of vignetting up in the corners here, and that is probably due to being at 24 millimeter with the polarizer on the front. We can deal with that later, maybe just a teeny bit of cropping. So I think I'm going to go ahead and change the filter out and go from a 2-stop neutral density grad to a 3-stop neutral density grad to try to balance the lighthouse a little bit better. Still do a 1 minute exposure, and then we will take a look. One more quick look. The histogram actually looked really, really good. Let me just zoom in on that. So I had a lot of peaks right here in the middle, which is what I want to see. A little bit in the dark, not a lot in the light. A little bit of clipping right here on the light side. That is probably the lighthouse. So we'll give it another shot. Okay, so we waited for the sun to set, and as you can see, we have some nice purple, lavender, blues on the horizon on the lighthouse as the sun is set behind me. And what we did was we changed things up a little bit. We went to using just a 3-stop neutral density for the overall image. This gave us a 10-second exposure, and I'm going to show the histogram on what we got. Right where I like to be. Kind of hard to see on the LCD because it's showing out blown out images, but it's actually not blown out. It's actually, there we go. Nice purples in the sky. I'm very happy with the overall image. You got the light on the lighthouse showing up in the image. So, yeah, there we go. This finishes up from Gloucester, Massachusetts. I'm David Wornham. Thanks for watching.